it's Alana and welcome back to my channel for the 16th and final chapter of Sweetbriars Leaving the City. Now, I've really enjoyed going on this journey with Kate, and if you guys have too, don't forget to put it in the comments below or message me on my social medias at Alana Clark Equestrian on Instagram and Facebook. And now we'll just start reading.
Sweetbriars Leaving the City, Chapter 16. Bliss was not doing well. His wound had become infected and his fetlock swollen. The vet said he was worried the infection may have spread to the joint. If this happened, there was a chance his leg may never recover and he could be left permanently lame, or worse yet, the infection could spread further. Her mum, usually optimistic, told Kate there was a silver lining, the bond that was developing between Tabby and Bliss as she tended to him. But Kate also realised there was a real possibility that they could lose Bliss if the infection spread. If this happened, what would it do to Tabby? Tabby was at Sweetbriars most days caring for Bliss, changing his bandages, cleaning the wound and keeping him company while he was on stable rest. Tabby confessed to Kate that she still felt responsible for his accident and she felt just awful seeing him cooped up in his stable and hobbling around. Tabby had given notice to Avonlea Park that she would finish riding Nancy by the end of the year. With Bliss out of action, she almost changed her mind, but she felt she needed a break from riding her bike all over Dalesea to fulfil her commitments. And she felt better once it was said and done, despite the owner of Avonlea Park telling her she wasn't welcome to visit Nancy once she finished riding her. And stopped paying, added Violet, when Tabby told her about the conversation. The Sullivan family had begun to prepare for the Sweetbriars Christmas Party. Mum had put decorations, including tinsel, fairy lights and Christmas trees, both inside the house and in the tea room in the stables. Sweetbriars looked inviting and festive in the dark days of the winter. On the morning of the party, Kate helped her mum wrap chocolate and wine as gifts for their clients. Dad put a large sign saying Merry Christmas above the tea room window that overlooked the dressage arena. Mickey was wearing his new Christmas coat and the Sullivans had matching Christmas jumpers. Kate's was a deep red colour with white snowflakes falling from the neckline. Grandma B was staying at Sweetbriars over Christmas and helped to prepare the food for the party. Kate was excited that they had a chocolate fondue fountain. Before the party was due to start, Kate decided to take a handful of carrots to Odette. As Kate walked to Odette's stable, she heard Tabby's voice singing Master of the House, Keeper of the Zoo from Les Miserables, play they were practicing at school. Kate paused for a second, enjoying Tabby's sweet voice. Kate poked her head into the stable to greet her. "Hi, Tabby. I didn't realise you were here already." Tabby was applying hoof oil to Bliss's feet. When she saw Kate, she stopped singing and stood up, blushing. Then she smiled. "Yes, I came early to look after Bliss," said Tabby as she stroked his glossy black mane. "He seems jollier today, don't you think? I tried singing to him to cheer him up, or maybe he knows it's Christmas and there's a party on," said Tabby. She giggled as she ran her fingers through his forelock and kissed the side of his face. "Sure, he looks better," Kate said, trying to sound convincing as she looked into Bliss's dull, vacant eyes. Bliss had developed a poor appetite in the weeks since his injury. He also wore a large bandage from his fetlock to his knee. When he walked gingerly to get water or to pick at his food. After talking to Tabby, Kate walked to Odette's stable. As usual, Odette rapped on the stable door with her front leg as if to say, "Hurry up." "Hello, beautiful girl, here are your carrots," said Kate as she stroked her golden face. "Please don't do anything silly like Bliss, ever. I couldn't bear it," added Kate, giving her a kiss on the nose. Odette gave Kate a look that said, "More, please," but Kate had only brought a small handful of carrots and she didn't want Grandma B to wonder where they'd gone before the party had started, though she would probably guess. When Kate returned to the tea room, it was full of people. Tabby was standing with Violet by the log heater. Violet's mum and dad were by the window talking to Mrs. Maygill, George and Grandma B. Kate heard George call her grandmother Beatrice, which sounded funny as the family never called her by her full name. Kate joined Tabby and Violet remarked how nice Kate's new hairdo looked without a helmet to hide it. Kate had blow-dried it the way the hairdresser had shown her in London, and it looked shiny and bouncy. "Wow, I didn't notice your hair from the stable," added Tabby. "I only have eyes for Bliss when he's around, I'm afraid," she said, giggling. "But I love it. You look sophisticated." "Yes, it looks fabulous and brings out the green in your eyes," exclaimed Violet. Kate laughed and enjoyed the attention for once. She was doing a little spin to show how her hair swished around her ears when she spotted Benji and Adam walking through the door. Adam was holding Elliot the dog, who was asleep, wrapped snugly like a baby in a thick woolen blanket. Meanwhile, Barry and Owen were at the table pouring mulled wine into large cups and talking to Dad. Toby was showing Alex something on his phone and they were both engrossed by whatever it was. Pip was curled up beside the log heater and seemed to be spectating the party with one eye open. Then the tea room door opened and Sophia walked in with her mother. "How lovely of you to join us," said Mum, walking over to welcome them. "I'm Sarah." In a squeaky, girly voice, Sophia's mother introduced herself as Patricia. "Thank you for having us," said Patricia as Sophia kissed Mum on the cheek and gave her a small hug. Patricia watched the familiar exchange with a surprised look. Patricia took off her woolen hat to reveal brilliant glossy red hair, but today it didn't hang past her shoulders. Instead, it was short and in a page boy style. "It's a wig," Violet whispered to Kate and Tabby, raising her eyebrows. Suddenly, it made sense, Kate thought, as she remembered the day she'd seen the wigs hanging from the washing line. "It's definitely a wig," whispered Kate, and went on to explain what she had seen with Beth. "I like it. I think it's practical to be able to change your hairstyle any which way you like," said Violet matter-of-factly. "Totally," added Tabby, who often moaned about her fine hair and wished for thicker tresses. Sophia looked over to Kate and waved, and then came towards them, looking relaxed. She was wearing dark blue jeggings with a soft grey woolen top. Her bright red hair fell in natural waves to her shoulders and caught the light reflecting from the log heater. Her black framed glasses looked more stylish than usual, and Kate wondered if they were a new pair. "Hello, how are you?" asked Sophia, looking at Kate, Tabby and Violet with interest. The three girls replied that they were fine and asked how Sophia was doing. "Terrific. My stepdad couldn't make it today as he had to work at the shop, thank goodness," Sophia said with a small laugh. The girls were a little taken aback and not sure what to say. "Oh, he's not that bad," said Tabby kindly. Kate and Violet kept quiet and smiled, trying to demonstrate agreement with Tabby. Sophia replied without hesitation, "Oh yes, he is. He's a right pain, and he can be mean and embarrassing. He treats me like a 5-year-old. This was a new Sophia, thought Kate. She wasn't timid or mincing words today. "Your hair looks fetching that way," added Sophia. "So brave to cut it off." "Thank you. I wanted a change, and it's ever so practical under my helmet. I guess being in London gave me the courage to do it." "Oh, London! Tell us all the juicy details, you lucky thing," exclaimed Violet. With all the excitement from the Pony Club Championships, they hadn't had time to discuss Kate's trip properly. "Oh my gosh, it was wonderful. I have the best aunt and uncle, and Olympia was wonderful." Kate's friends drank in every word as she gave them all the details. She also showed them her photos. The girls joked about how jealous they were. "Next year we can go together," said Kate. They agreed this was an excellent idea, and even Sophia seemed interested. "I have some gifts for you," said Violet excitedly, reaching into her bag. She pulled out 2 small envelopes made of silver paper and gave one to Kate and one to Tabby. Kate suddenly realised there was nothing for Sophia. She hadn't thought to buy her anything. There wasn't even chocolate. She wasn't a client of Sweetbriars. "Oh, thank you," said Tabby. She slipped a fingernail under the sticky tape to unseal the envelope. Out slid a thin black wristband with a metal horse attached to it. It was painted a mahogany with one white leg. "Oh, how gorgeous!" She examined it more closely and declared, "Oh my goodness, it's bliss, thank you." "Open yours, Kate," said Violet, grinning. Kate opened it, expecting something similar. She wasn't wrong, but the horse was a palomino. It was painted a gorgeous caramel colour, with a flowing white mane and tail. "How lovely, it's Odette," said Kate, and she gave Violet a hug. Kate still felt bad she didn't have anything for Sophia. Luckily, Sophia seemed curious and not awkward, so Kate got on with giving her gifts to Tabby and Violet. Kate fished the backpacks from below the Christmas tree and handed them over. As Violet and Tabby unwrapped them, they seemed pleased, saying they would use them to carry their riding clothes to Sweetbriars. Tabby gave Violet and Kate woolen headbands lined with fleece in their favourite colours. These were new into the saddlery where Tabby worked. Then Sophia surprised Kate by pulling out 2 presents of her own. "These are for you," she said, pushing the presents into Kate's hands. Now Kate felt even worse and was flustered. One present was lumpy and wrapped in old-fashioned floral paper. Odette was written directly onto the paper in capital letters in a heavy black marker. There was another, softer present which had Kate written on it in the same way. "Oh, thank you, Sophia. You shouldn't have," Kate said, blushing. Kate opened her present somewhat awkwardly and revealed a chunky woolen scarf. The wool felt smooth to touch, and it was soft purple. "I knitted it like the one I gave your mother. I know you like purple, so I hope it's okay," added Sophia as she played with her hair. Kate was touched by Sophia's gesture. "It's gorgeous, thank you," she replied as she wrapped the scarf around her neck. With her new haircut, she could feel the softness of the scarf at the back of her neck. "Well, aren't you full of talents?" said Violet in a playful voice, smiling. Kate's mum interrupted them, bringing over a wrapped present. "We have something for you too," she said, handing the gift to Sophia. Sophia's eyes lit up and she beamed as she opened it. The present was a dark green Christmas jumper like Kate's, but with a reindeer leaping across the front. "I'm sorry we didn't knit it ourselves, dear, but we hope you like it anyway. I love it, thank you ever so much, said Sophia enthusiastically. Right, I'm going to make a cuppa, Mum said as she surveyed the room. Would you girls like anything? The girls were still nursing cups full of hot fondue, and they politely declined. You should give this to Odette yourself, said Kate, as she handed the lumpy present back to Sophia. Okay, said Sophia happily. It's just apple and cinnamon horse bites. I made them myself. Wow, you made them yourself. You are a proper little homemaker, said Violet, laughing. Well, I try my best, said Sophia, looking at first defiant, then pleased. Then her face clouded over. Horses can eat cinnamon, right? I'm sure a little bit of cinnamon will be just fine, said Kate. She hugged Sophia round the waist, hoping she wasn't offended at Violet's joke. After Sophia went to the stables, Kate told Violet and Tabby she hadn't known her mum had bought a present for Sophia. They all agreed it was great timing, said how thoughtful Sophia was, even if she was a tad different. Kate looked out of the tea-room window. The weather was dreadful. There was thick sleet on the window, and the arena and fields were covered in ice. Kate was grateful to be inside by the log heater. Kate saw that Elliot was awake and playing with Mickey. They were wagging their tails madly and barking at each other. They circled closer to the log heater where Pip was sleeping, but he didn't want any part of their play. He jumped onto the kitchen bench, knocking a bottle of wine onto the floor. The glass shattered and the room fell silent as people looked towards the mess. Oops-a-daisy, I'm terribly sorry, Adam cried, racing over to scoop up Elliot. Mum and Dad inspected the mess. Don't worry, fortunately the bottle was almost empty, said Dad cheerfully. Grandma B carefully gathered the broken glass and wiped up the spilt wine. She joked that it could have been worse. It could have been the fondue fountain. Adam and Benji laughed and agreed, and Adam put a meek Elliot down and told him to behave himself. Talk resumed almost instantly, and the dogs sat together quietly by the log heater. Pip had moved to a higher shelf from where he kept an eye on them with his aloof cat expression. Oh, Pip, don't look all superior and innocent, said Kate as she picked Pip up. He purred loudly and closed his eyes contentedly. As Kate cuddled Pip, Benji approached her and touched her arm. Now, Kate, when would you like to begin dressage lessons? I hope you're still excited about dressage after the Pony Club Championships, he said jovially. Kate was thrilled that Benji had brought this up, as she had wanted to ask him herself. Well, as soon as possible, she said eagerly. Weekends are good, or after school. Benji rubbed his chin and said, I have a spot free on Saturday mornings at 10. Would that work for you? Yes, that would be ideal, replied Kate eagerly. Okay, then it's set. We'll begin in January. Benji left them to join Adam, who was talking to Mum and Violet's parents. Kate grinned excitedly at her friends, pleased at the prospect of beginning lessons in January with Benji. Then she noticed with amusement that Toby was heaping food onto his plate again. But then she noticed something else. Toby dipped the ladle in the mulled wine bowl a couple of times and filled 2 large cups to the brim. Toby gestured to Alex to take one of the cups, and they high-fived. Then the boys went to the back corner and drank thirstily from the cups. It looked like they were trying to outdrink each other. It also looked like their parents were watching what was happening. The boys were becoming quite lively. They were rosy-cheeked and giggling at random things on their phones. Kate told Tabby and Violet what she had seen, and the 3 girls watched in suspense. Alex and Toby seemed to not have a care in the world, not noticing the attention they were getting. Their dad approached Alex and led him away to talk. Toby went a darker shade of red as he seemed to realise that they'd been found out, and Alex nodded along remorsefully to his father's words. Alex went back to Toby and shook his head, then threw his cup in the bin. Toby followed Alex's cue and did the same. They went back to the table somewhat sheepishly and cut themselves large slices of Christmas cake. At that moment, Tabby's mum Diane came in. Tabby had mentioned that Diane had hoped to make it for the end of the party and to drive Tabby home for a change. Diane made quite an entrance. She was wearing a white fur coat that looked like it came from some exotic animal. She took it off to reveal very high-heeled leather boots with black sparkly tights and a sheer, cream, silky top. Her blonde hair was pinned up glamorously at the back, with a few loose pieces of hair softly curling around her face. Her makeup looked demure compared to the Pony Club Championship weekend, but she had bright red lipstick. All eyes went to Diane. Kate and Violet were stunned at how dazzling she looked. Tabby waved to her mother, who made her way over to them. "Hello, darling, and you little poppets," said Diane, as if they were all 5 years old, and she kissed each of them on both cheeks. As Diane leant in, Kate breathed her thick smell of perfume mixed with hairspray. "Now, Tabitha, darling, I'm not sure if I mentioned that I have a date this evening, that's why I'm a bit dressed up," said Diane. When Diane said "a bit dressed up," Violet looked at Kate and raised an eyebrow. Kate rubbed her lips together, trying to suppress a grin. "No, Mummy, you didn't mention it to me. I hope you can still take me home," Tabby said, trembling with anger. "Of course, darling, but we need to leave here by 6 o'clock, in half an hour, so I can make it on time for supper," she said as she batted her long black eyelashes. "Okay, that's fine, thank you," replied Tabby curtly. There was an awkward silence, then Violet said bravely, "So, is it real, the jacket?" She looked over at the exotic fur that was hanging regally from its hook. Diane looked taken aback. "Unfortunately not, but it is very authentic, don't you think?" She laughed nervously. "Indeed, it looks very luxurious," replied Violet. Kate and Tabby were stuck on Diane's "unfortunately not" comment. Tabby looked a bit embarrassed, as they all loved animals. Diane said she would get a drink and proceeded to the table where she found a glass and filled it generously with red wine. Sophia returned from the stables. Now she joined them, asking, "Who's that? Isn't she a tad overdressed?" "It's my mother," Tabby said stoutly. "Wow, for real?" replied Sophia. "She's beautiful." "Yes, she is," admitted Tabby. They watched as Diane introduced herself to Benji and Adam, and they seemed to hit it off quickly. Within minutes, both Benji and Adam were laughing at whatever Diane was telling them. A hush fell over the girls as they watched the action of the party winding up. Already daylight was fading, and it wasn't quite 5 o'clock. Suddenly they were interrupted by Kate's mum tapping her glass. The room quietened down, and she began to speak. "Hello, everybody. I just wanted to thank you for coming for today. It is ever so lovely to have you all here at Sweetbriars at such a festive time of the year." Sarah took a deep breath and smiled broadly at the guests before continuing. "We, our family, feel so privileged to have found Sweetbriars and to have met you all. It's a new beginning for us, which we are thrilled to share with such lovely people." Sarah took a sip from her glass of wine and went on to say, "We wish you a splendid Christmas with your loved ones, both your families and four-legged friends, and we look forward to an exciting and happy new year with you all and our new friends." People laughed and clapped, and then George held his glass in the air and boomed, "And here's a toast to a very merry Dalesy Christmas and to new friends." People raised their glasses to the toast, and there was a chorus of cheers with smiles all around. Kate joined her family and embraced each one of them warmly. She'd never seen her mum look this happy as she wiped sentimental tears from the corners of her eyes. It made Kate feel so proud of her family and thankful to have them. It seemed amazing that almost 1 year ago she'd left behind her old life and everything familiar. Since then she'd achieved things she never imagined and discovered that she was more resilient than she ever knew. Now she was excited for the new adventures that lay ahead at Sweetbriars. The end.
And that is all from me reading Sweetbriars Leaving the City. I really, really adored the story. I've had such a good time reading it out, and I actually would quite like to do something like this again. It has been so much fun. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit that notification bell so you know when my next video is coming out. And until then, guys, from Haylin and I, it's goodbye.